Hi, it's Jeff Hoyt, Editor-in-Chief of SeniorLiving.Org. For those reaching full retirement age in 2021, Social Security offers a maximum monthly benefit in excess of $3,000. Are you doing everything you can to maximize yours? I've been speaking with Beth Franklin, a certified financial planner and author of the book, Maximizing Social Security Retirement Benefits. Now, if you missed it, check out the beginning of our talk here. In the second part of our lengthy interview, the contributing editor of InvestmentNews reveals how people who never work can qualify, how divorcees can get benefits based on their ex, and how even children can get benefits. Because Mary Beth is on the East Coast and I'm on the West Coast, we will be conducting the interview via Zoom. You touched on this a little bit before, but let's talk about a married couple. Now, first off, if you did have someone, housewife, house husband, who didn't work at all, they're still eligible for Social Security based on their spouse's work record. Is that correct?
That is correct. And a lot of people do not understand that. If you have no earnings history of your own, and therefore you are not entitled to a Social Security benefit on your own record, but you're married to someone who is, you are entitled to a spousal benefit once that other spouse claims their benefit. A spousal benefit is worth up to 50% of what the working spouse is getting. So the working spouse claims he gets $2,000 a month. If you're full retirement age at the time, you get $1,000 a month. If you're younger, as young as age 62, you'll still get a spousal benefit, but it will be reduced. It's all based on your age at time of claim.
So while people are contributing to FICA and these taxes throughout their working history, it doesn't mean if you've never worked, you can't get Social Security. If you're married to someone who has a working history, then you can still get benefits as well. And many people
Right. That's right. And you're entitled to both Social Security benefits and Medicare benefits, even if you don't have an earnings record on your own. As once your say your husband who has the earnings record and you, as long as you're at least 62, you're eligible. And then, of course, Medicare, you can sign up as early as 65. So if you say, gee, I've never worked, I can't get Medicare. Yes, you can. You're married to a worker who's entitled to those benefits.
And this applies to same-sex marriages as well, correct?
Absolutely. Ever since same-sex marriages were legalized nationwide in 2015, all the benefits traditionally available to married couples under Social Security is extended to same-sex couples.
Okay, so in a married couple situation, you've got the benefit from the retiree, the person who worked for 35 years and has a work history, and then there could be someone who didn't work at all and they're still eligible. And then there's also the spousal survival benefit that we talked about earlier, which is completely different. So explain sort of how a married couple could maximize their income streams from Social Security.
Okay, let's think of these as two separate pots of money. A retirement benefit is while the worker is alive. Survivor benefit is after the worker has died. And I will give you an example. Survivor benefits and spousal benefits are worth their maximum amount if I claim them when I reach my full retirement age. Those benefits do not keep growing by 8% a year. That 8% a year, and what we call a delayed retirement credit, only applies to the worker's own retirement benefit. That's why it's called a delayed retirement credit. So I'll give you an example from my family. One of my brothers died much too young, about 10 years ago. And when his widow turned 62, she said to me, okay, I'm old enough to claim Social Security. Which benefit should I claim? My own retirement benefit or my survivor benefit? And I said, well, which one's bigger? She goes, oh, my survivor benefit's much bigger. I said, okay, you're 62. I know you're working part-time. Are you making much money? No, not really. I just haven't felt like working since Bobby died. Okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to claim your own retirement benefit now at 62. And even though your retirement benefit will be permanently reduced for the rest of your life if you claim it early, it has no impact on your survivor benefit. You can claim your reduced retirement benefit now at 62. And when you reach your full retirement age of 66, now you are going to switch to your survivor benefit, and you're going to get 100% of what Bobby was entitled to when he died. So there was no downside for her collecting a reduced retirement benefit first and switching to a full survivor benefit later. But let me give you a different example. I worked with a guy whose wife had died, didn't have a huge Social Security benefit, and his was pretty big. When he reached full retirement age, he collected his survivor benefit on his late wife's account. He was full retirement age. There was no earnings cap for him anymore. And survivor benefits are worth the maximum amount if the survivor is at least full retirement age when they collect it. He let his own retirement benefit continue to grow by 8% a year. And at age 70, he switched to the maximum retirement benefit. So you can see this stuff is complicated and why you would like someone to help you with these decisions.
Well, I know one thing to help is to read your book, which I enjoyed and actually learned a lot from. I didn't
Thank
think it
you.
was as complicated as it is. But let's take it up a notch. What about people who are born before 1954? Then they have even more choices than the younger folk.
Absolutely. Several years ago, Congress, and I say this as a former congressional reporter for United Press International, was passing some major federal debt legislation that they had to do so the government could pay the bills it had already incurred. And without any public hearing, attached some unrelated legislation to it that changed some of the rules affecting Social Security filing ability. One of the things it said was that if you're born before 1954 and you're married, or you're what we call an eligible divorce spouse, meaning you were married at least 10 years before divorcing, you have some creative claiming opportunities. If you're born January 1st, 1954 or later, forget about it. You will never have a fancy claiming opportunity. Whenever you claim or file for Social Security, you will get the biggest benefit to which you are entitled at that age, whether on your own record or as a spouse. You do not get to choose. So if you're born after January 1st, 1954, that's what you're going to get. Now, for that shrinking pool of people who were born before 1954 and who have not claimed Social Security yet, and they're married or an eligible divorce spouse, they may have some opportunities. And I will give you an example from my own situation. I was born in December 1954. That means I can't do anything fancy. But my husband's older. He was born in 1952. So when I turned 66 in December, a few months ago, I went ahead and filed for my full Social Security benefits because it triggered a benefit for my husband. And because my husband was born before that birth date, he was able to say to Social Security, don't pay me my own retirement benefit. Let it keep growing by 8% a year until 70. But in the meantime, pay me as a spouse. Give me half of Mary Beth's full retirement age benefit. That's known as filing a restricted claim for spousal benefits. Pay me only as a spouse. Let my own benefits continue to grow. So people who are eligible, let's see, I turned 67 this year. You'd have to be turning 68 or older this year to be eligible to use this strategy.
Well, it is getting more and more complex. And then you mentioned divorcees. So you're not only able to use your spouse's working history to claim Social Security benefits if you've never worked, but you could be divorced and still claim your ex's work history for benefits.
This is my favorite part of Social Security, which, by the way, has more than 2,700 rules that govern Social Security benefits. So no wonder it's confusing. And a lot of those rules have to do with exceptions, and a lot of the exceptions apply to divorced spouses. So let me give you the basics. To be an eligible divorced spouse, you must be married at least 10 years. You before divorcing. And in general, you must be single to collect on a living ex-spouse. Now, I mentioned a couple minutes ago that I had to file for my benefits in order to trigger a spousal benefit from my husband. That applies to currently married couple. It doesn't apply for divorced couples because just imagine you have a nasty divorce and one ex-spouse says to the other, "Hey, I am never going to retire and you are never going to get a dime of my Social Security." Well, Congress thought that might be a problem. So they said, okay, in addition to being married at least 10 years, divorced, and currently single, if you have been divorced for at least 2 years and both of you are at least 62 years old, you can collect on your ex even if your ex has not claimed benefits. That's known as being an independently entitled spouse. So, yes, divorced spouses have a few more tricks up their sleeves than married couples, but this basic birthday thing still affects them. If you're born on or before January 1st, 1954, and you're divorced, you can say, "Don't pay me my retirement benefit. Let me claim on my ex's record while my own benefit continues to grow." If I'm born after January 1st, 1954, I can't do that. But I have a silver lining for those divorced spouses that say, look at that. I missed out on collecting on my ex. By the way, when you collect on the ex, you don't have to ask permission. You do this all through Social Security, and it does not affect the benefit of that ex-spouse. It does not take away from his or her benefit. If he or she is remarried, it doesn't affect the benefits of their new family. You just get your benefit. So let's say you're born after 1954. You can't do this, just collect as a spouse. If your ex dies, you are entitled to survivor benefits worth 100% of what your ex was collecting or entitled to collect at time of death. I call that the divorcee's ultimate revenge. And, and let me tell you how crazy these rules are. Remember I said married at least 10 years, divorced, currently single? That applies to a living ex. Guess what? Even if you remarry, as long as you waited till age 60 or later to remarry, you can collect on a dead ex, even if you're married to somebody else. So let me give you a story of how this works. Let's say we have John and Mary. They are married for 10 years. They get divorced. Mary remains single. Then John marries his secretary, Susie. You know that story. They're married for 10 years. They get divorced. Susie remains single. John doesn't like to be alone. He's at his local pub and he meets Tiffany. Tiffany's 30 years old. They fall madly in love, get married, now have a little 2-year-old boy, little Johnny, and John drops dead. Who gets benefits? Everybody gets benefits. The first ex-wife, married at least 10 years, divorced, currently single, doesn't have to share. She gets 100% of John's survivor benefit. And so does the second ex-wife, married at least 10 years, divorced, and currently single, also gets 100% of John's survivor benefits. That's 200 so far. Little Johnny, he's 2 years old. He gets 75% of Dad's survivor benefits every month until he turns 18. And his 32-year-old mother, Tiffany, gets 75% of John's benefits every month until little Johnny turns 16. So when you worry about the long-term financing of Social Security, less to do with trust funds, more to do with divorce.
Wow. So we haven't even talked about children being eligible for Social Security benefits, and you touched on one of the ways that's possible as well. But basically, if someone collecting Social Security passes away and they have children under the age of 18, is it? Then that child would be eligible to get benefits as well.
That's right. Years ago, it used to go through college, but that was scaled back to 18 or 19 if still in high school, or if you have a permanently disabled adult child for the rest of their life. And that's not surprising. You would expect a parent has a minor child, the parent dies. Of course, the child should get a survivor benefit. But what surprises people is when dad or mom, though biologically that doesn't happen as much, collect a retirement benefit. They're still alive and they have minor dependent children. The children get a dependent benefit worth 50% of the parent's benefit. So let's say you're in a second marriage with a second family, your full retirement age is 66, and you've got a 14-year-old kid. You collect benefits, So do the kids until they're 18.
So between the complications for a plain old married couple, and then the rules about divorcees and then children as well, it seems like there must be millions of dollars of unclaimed benefits out there.
I don't have a firm number for that, but certainly a lot of people are missing out. There was a study by United Income about a year ago, and the money that people were leaving on the table because they claimed benefits sooner rather than later was in the trillions. That people just don't realize the value of this. If you said, let's say my benefit is $2,000 a month, what would it cost me to buy an annuity that's going to pay me $2,000 a month for the rest of my life? It's going to be a huge amount of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's the value of your Social Security benefit. So everyone's situation is different. You may have reasons for claiming early or the ability to claim later, but you should at least arm yourself with the information and get the best advice possible to make the right decision for you. And when it comes to married couples, I personally think it makes a lot of sense to hedge your bets. Have one person wait as long as possible up until age 70 to maximize that retirement benefit and also a possible survivor benefit. But having said that, the other spouse, if he or she's not working, may want to go ahead and claim at 62. Get some cash flow coming into the household, takes away a bit of the sting of having the other person wait till 70. And as we saw in the example with my widowed sister-in-law, even if this person collected a reduced retirement benefit early, it would have no effect on an ultimate survivor benefit later.
But someone would have to know, hey, I claimed early, but now I should go to the Social Security Administration and say I want to get my survivor benefit, which is higher than
Well, generally, if you are a surviving spouse, now normally when a death occurs, a funeral director is reporting the death to Social Security. If, let's say, I'm a spouse that didn't have a big working history, I had some benefit of my own, maybe my own benefit was $500 a month, and my benefit as a spouse is $1,000 a month. They're going to pay me the $1,000, but it's really half of that's on my own record and half as a spouse. When my husband dies, because part of my benefit was on his record as a spouse, it is automatically going to convert to a survivor benefit. But if I'm in this situation where I had a significant career my whole life, I'm collecting only on my own record and my spouse dies, then I do need to contact Social Security to say, hey, I'm a surviving spouse. And if his benefit would be bigger than mine, that's what I would get, and my smaller one would go away.
You just finished watching the second part of my interview with certified financial planner Mary Beth Franklin, author of the book, Maximizing Social Security Retirement Benefits. Now, in the last part of our informational interview, the contributing editor of Investment News reveals how to collect a lump sum benefit, what to do if you change your mind after claiming benefits, and what steps you can take today to improve your Social Security outcome tomorrow. Now, in the last part of our talk is available. You'll see it up here in the corner of the screen. Now, in the meantime, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can live your best life as a senior.